ready.
I'll blow you out of that part.
Alright, how y'all doing? Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah. You're from the camera.
Yeah, really. Come on this side.
Why'd you put the camera on that side?
Why do you want to say that? Anyways, we still gonna do the interactive haircut, but we're gonna do this first because it's much easier to cut on an actual person versus a mannequin. Mannequin hair is half synthetic, half human, but it's really tricky to fade. And the key to fading is actually the technique. It's not how long you leave the hair, it's not how short you cut it, it's basically the technique. And that's basically what we're gonna go over today. So if it gets to a point to where I'm moving too fast, or you feel like I didn't explain it enough, just ask questions, all right?
Okay.
Please ask questions. All right, so what's the most important part of a haircut?
The guy.
The who? Man, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, because after 12 years of cutting, I don't use a guide anymore.
The guard, tell us.
The who? Consultation. You gotta know what the client wants. Alright? How we gonna find out what the client wants? We don't do a consultation. So that's basically what I'm here for, right? Because everybody kind of overcomplicates this, especially cosmetologists. You do most of your cutting with shears and comb, right? So you kind of overcomplicate it and you shut down when you go to clippers. It's the same thing. It's just a faster tool, right? So you still gotta do the basics. You gotta do your consultation. You gotta do your scalp analysis. You gotta ask all the type of questions, right? You wanna have a clear understanding of what it is you're doing before you do it. So this is your body. So you have to do a consultation. But it's the way it works. After he explains to you what he wants, you have to be able to tell me, and I have to be able to give him exactly what he asked for. So your consultation needs to be thorough. Okay?
Hi, sir.
Hello, man.
How are you? How are you doing today?
I would like you to take a little off the top.
What are you looking for in the service today?
Since I'm like a ball fade, real on the side, clean on the ball, below on the top.
Okay, so you want it to be bald on the sides? You want, say it again?
Yeah, a ball fade, man.
A bald fade. Okay, do you want a taper as well?
Sure, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Will that be all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's like I'm at a restaurant. So, would you like your facial hair trimmed or?
Yes, I would.
You do? Okay, okay, that's great. Is that it? What else want to ask?
Alright, I'll take over.
Okay.
So typically when men come in and we speak in a different language. So when someone leaves with a ball fade, a barber typically knows what a ball fade is. He wants bald, no hair on the sides, and he specifically said low on the top. All right, it's some people that have waves, there's some people that have a box or a high top. They'll tell you how much to take off. Or nowadays, they don't want anything taken off the top. It's just the sides, all right? So that tells me automatically that I'm probably gonna use maybe a 1, but I'm gonna go against the grain on the top. That's gonna get it low. And it's also gonna get it even. So when I talk to you, if you hear me say things like open or close, what does that mean?
I know that down is open and up is closed.
She's referring to the level on the side of your clipper. So if I say open, that means it's all the way down. I guess that's how they teach you. And if it's closed, it's all the way up. Okay? But the trick to fading is it's not just open and close. There's in between, there's a fourth. You know what I mean? It gets intricate. That's how you get really detailed with your fade. Alright? So you always want to comb and do a scalp analysis. Why?
You wanna cut on no hair, got no souls in it.
That too.
I want to see which way the hair grows.
More importantly, you want to determine.
I took your class already.
You took many courses. Anyway, you want to determine the growth pattern, right? So maybe 2 at a time. Y'all can come up here and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
I'm already ready, you know.
And so we couldn't see this part on your son because he has.
Right.
But you see this?
The world.
Exactly. So everybody has one. Everybody has one. They're just in different spots. More commonly, and you know, African Americans, they're either in the back or near the nape. But everybody has one. Some people have multiple ones. All right. So that's important to know, because when you start fading, like if you're cutting against the grain, you want to make sure you're going against the way that the hair grows. If you're going with the grain, you want to go with the way that it grows. So what would be your first step if you were doing a ball fade?
My first step,
Ball.
doing the ball fade.
That would be setting a guideline, correct? Bless you. So you want to set guidelines. You want to give yourself a roadmap. You want to understand where it is you're trying to get to. It's not a wrong or a right way to do a fade. It's just what you're comfortable doing. My system, I fade from the top down. What that means is I'll go in, I'll set my guidelines, and I'll work from the top, and then I'll come down. What that does, it keeps me from chasing a line. Or ultimately, say he wanted it to be balled around the bottom, but if I start here, it's gonna be balled up to here. For some people, because they can't see it. All right. Y'all wanna know what kind of clippers? I'll tell you later. I got that kind of time right now. The beard, you trying to keep it full, or you just keep the middle piece in the mustache?
It's a piece of mustache.
Okay, cool. I'm also a firm believer of whatever I got in my hand, I'm gonna get the most use out of it before I put it back down. That's gonna save me on time. So I don't know if anybody's been to a modern barbershop. Like, it takes these cats like an hour to do a haircut.
That why him.
It shouldn't take an hour to do a haircut. 30 minutes tops. All right.
Drawing Michael Jordan back here.
Yeah.
And your cheeks will be my day.
So if this was your first ball fade that you were doing, or your first fade that you were doing, don't do what I did. So the equivalent to this would be your trimmers. And you see a ton of people on YouTube go in with these trimmers and set this really, really hard line, right? You don't want to do that. You would take whatever clipper you're using and just close it all the way and go ahead and put this first line in, all right? Because if you don't put hard lines in, it won't take that long to get them out. Does that make sense? And another rule of thumb when you're using clippers, whatever you use to put a line in is basically what you're going to use to get it up. All right? Everybody got that? All right, so now it typically helps me to know what I'm trying to get to. So after I do my first guideline, I want to get my final destination, right? I want to know how low the top is going to be. So I go in and cut that down. I said earlier that I was going to cut it against the grain, but I changed my mind because it looks like he wants waves, I hope. But I'm going to try to keep it where he can have waves. Yeah. So guards are pretty much safety nets. You know what I mean? Like, I could get the same result if I put a guard on. I would have to do too many passes. And that's the difference between, you know, what we learn in barber school and what you learn in cosmetology school, right? So it gets to a point where we get really, really intricate about these guards, meaning we break everything down. So I would ask them questions like, what would be the equivalent of a 2-guard open, right? So what do you think the answer is? what else could you use to get the same length? We have guards numbered 0 through 8, right? So if I had a 2 guard and I opened it, what would that be equal to?
A 3 guard close. I don't. Oh.
That's it. That's
Okay.
actually it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it gets intricate like that. So now, when I think about just using an open clipper or a bare clipper, this is all the way open. It would literally be the same thing as a 1 guard close. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Don't just shake your head.
No.
It doesn't?
No. Not to me.
Alright, so this is the 1 guard. I'm putting it on here, right? Alright, so you don't understand. So come close, right? So I went over this with just an open clipper. So you see how low this is and how precise it is, right? You see here I went over it with a 1 guard close. So it leaves it slightly longer. So when you get into like cutting, like details is what matters. So if I know he wants it low on the top, I'm not gonna waste my time using this
Right.
because I'm gonna have to go over it again.
So when you take this off, what does it turn into? Is
It's basically a true 1.
0 or 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
the
0
reason-
would be bald. Like,
Yeah, 0 is this part.
and it comes like that.
Like what?
Like 0. I mean, like a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It'll say it on the box. Usually when you buy it, it'll say, you know, using the clipper will be equivalent to this guard number.
Oh,
So the
okay.
reason why this is leaving this slightly longer is because this clipper, if I put this in here, I can't close it all the way because of the teeth. So it's leaving longer hair.
Gotcha.
Alright?
Okay.
You know what it's like?
Take your notes, sister.
It's like, sorry for my clothes. You shoot too close. That's the same thing. You ain't got no kids, you don't know.
That's a good one. Okay, use that.
We got kids.
Yeah.
You can't find a point where you're getting
Right.
a little bit different.
A little bit,
but the same.
really.
A little bit, yeah.
Slightly.
If you use it on your YouTube on the street. So you start teaching people. For those of you dads that's out here.
I probably wouldn't use it on YouTube. I probably, if I do this or I get another cosmetology school or something, it would make sense.
It would. Anyway. How difficult is it if they have like 2 girls in the same class? Because my boy don't have hair, he got 2 right now.
It's not difficult, it's just a matter of knowing how to attack it and knowing how to approach it, right? So when you think about straight hair, you think about cowlicks, it's only 2 solutions. You either leave it long so it lays down or you cut it short to where it doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing. It's just a matter of how you approach it.
Okay.
With coarse hair, you want it to lay down, so you want to make sure you're following it. And another reason I elected to go with the grain versus against is he has a few thin spots. And the way to cover that up is to lay the hair down, not to cut it completely short. Alright?
Like baby hair.
Alright, so basically when I fade, I use a 2 guideline system, meaning I set 1 guideline and then I set another and then I blend everything. Alright? So, good rule of thumb is whatever you use to take the top down, and this only applies to guards 2 and below. Anything above a 2, you get into what we call freehand. So we haven't gotten that far yet. So anything 2 and below, whatever you use to take the top down, you're going to use that same thing to set your second guideline. Right? So if I use this, open, but I went with the grain, to set my second guideline, I'm going to still leave it open, I'm just going to go against the grain. That make sense? You can probably walk up here and look at it because it's probably faint from back there. So I want you to be able to see. So another tool you want to get in the habit of using is your mirror. So whatever you can't see with your naked eye is going to be very, very visible in the mirror, right? So if you look at this mirror, King, how many lines do you see? Be honest. How many lines do you see? Two. Where are they?
I don't.
Nobody, come on.
You know what I'm saying? you use the mirror if you don't want to sit there.
1, 2, up there. Like I was about to say up there.
Right here.
Mhm.
And then one here, right?
Yeah.
So it's the reason why I left this down here, right? I want y'all to be able to see the transition. I can always go back and ball this later, right? But to see where you started and see where you're going, like if I didn't have this here, it'd be very hard to see this ball line, you know? Because it gives the illusion that you've erased that line when you go in and start debulking, right? Now, question is, if I use, say, a 1 with the grain here, and you know I want a 1 against the grain here, what am I going to use to erase this line? How am I going to blend this into this?
Use the same thing you used to put it in to take it out.
That's true. But what changes?
The grain.
Open and close.
Right. The level system, right?
Coming on up.
So if you get masters, I tell everybody that's trying to learn how to fade to buy you a pair of masters. They're heavy, but they cost a little bit of money. You know, like, it costs a little penny. But it's worth it because you have these notches on the side. And what that teaches you is not just open and close. Right? Or say you get in a bind and you call me one day like, hey, Mr. Real, I can't get out of this. I'll tell you, pick up your masters, put it on the 3rd notch, and fade it out. Make sense? Versus me telling you to grab your clippers, put it halfway, and you like, okay, what is half? Make sense? Alright, so the only difference that I'm going to do to get this line out is the technique. So instead of me getting to this line and stopping, I'm going to do one of these. Right? So I'm going to feather it. It's always a good practice to keep a comb or brush in your hand because it helps you knock off the loose hairs and help you see where you're going. Now, how many lines do you see? Just one? I see one and I see dark spots. So some people will mistake like these dark areas here and dark areas here to be a line, but it's not. It's literally a dark spot. So what separates a good barber from a great barber is going to be detail work. So some people would leave that like it is, knock this ball line out and be done with it. But me, I'm gonna go back, and the way you get rid of the dark spots is it'll be equivalent to using your shears and point cut, right? So you would use the corners, and you only focus on those areas that's dark. So all of that was done basically with the same, if you use a guard or if you use an open clipper, all of those steps were done with 1, 2, right? With the exception of the ball line, but that's how you would do that. So now is when you get to being intricate. So we've gotten this part, so how are we gonna get from here to here? How are we gonna get rid of this line? Alright, of course we're gonna fade it. That's why we're here. I mean, what am I gonna use?
The same thing you used to put in there.
We're not gonna settle for that no more.
Is that not true?
If you were telling me over the phone how to cut this hair, what do I need to do?
I would call you.
You tell me.
If I call you and you tell me what to do, I already got the clippers in my hand. What's the next step?
I would tell you to pull up Mr. Regular's YouTube video. Put it on. Let me see.
Number 3.
All right, we got him. No, because we
We're gonna try it. You said 3?
Okay.
No, don't listen to
It's not
me.
gonna work.
But it's
You
just
can
gonna
see it,
leave
it's not
more,
gonna work.
right? And still have another
The
video.
3,
Go
his
back
hair
and
is
take
already
off.
shorter than the 3. It's not gonna
Uh-uh.
do anything. You're gonna be
Yeah.
cutting hair.
I mean, technically, below this line is shorter than the 3, but above it, it's still shorter than this. So
Mhm.
3 would be shorter than this being open, but that is a safety measure, right? So you can use that and approach it when you're just starting to fade. If you're unsure of what level to go to, always start bigger and work your way down. Like I tell all my clients, like, bro, I can take hair off, but I can't put it back. That's between you and Jesus. That's how your hair goes. All right. So we'll start with a 3 just so I can show you, or half. Another thing, when you get to this bottom line, don't do this and stop. You want to make sure you're using the same technique. You saw how easy I got that line out going around here? Some people, they struggle with that because they sit here and do this eraser thing like for hours. We ain't got that kind of time. All right? So you see. Another reason I like using the master is because the motor is so powerful, you literally can hear hair coming off. All right? Because a lot of things that we do with clippers are not visible. Like you done took hair off and didn't even realize it. So what's the difference? What do you see? Still see the line, right?
We can still see the line, but it's kind of.
It's faint now, right?
Yeah,
it's not as harsh as it was.
Yeah.
Ball fade though, if you put the line in with the clippers, you're gonna go ahead and close it all the way. You ain't even gonna waste your time, you know what I'm saying? And another thing, I'll try to do it on this side the way y'all can see it. With ball fades, it's very easy to get the line out if you pull the skin taut. Y'all know what that means? Like tight?
We do it for waxes.
Yeah. So that's the same concept, right? So you wanna pull it tight, that way those hairs that look like they're too small, you can go ahead and get them. You're not wasting time.
I didn't want to jacket.
Yeah, all his jackets.
That's my bad. That's it. That's my bad. Because I hate going through that.
Yeah, me too.
Still be done. Still doing it like an operator.
My mom just said, "Go to the because I'm not going to do that overnight." What is it? TV?
That tickles?
Right above my neck, it do though.
Anybody see a difference? Be honest.
I see it.
Right.
We just still looking at the head, the ball.
Oh, don't worry about it.
We know.
Yeah. I'm talking about here. So you see what happened, right?
Yeah, it do.
So we got rid of the ball line, but what happened? Created another one, right? So another rule of thumb, the higher you go on the head, the more open you want your clipper to be, and that'll keep you from chasing this line. So that's why these steps come in handy. So we was just on 1. So now, to get rid of this, we're just gonna go to 2. Right? I just went to the fourth knot. So now I'm in the process of doing detail work, basically checking my mirror and making sure that everything transitions. Anybody see anything? Anything y'all want to point out? Is that good? Your favorite part. Now we're gonna get rid of all this distraction, right? So with the trimmers, the reason I do this part last is because I can still see a faint line around the bottom where it goes from no hair to hair. So with this, you want to come to this ball line and then you want to flick out. You don't want to put another one in, right? So I'll do it on this side so y'all can see. Like you can see, like this is not going anywhere near this. Just getting rid of this. Alright. So everybody see how that works, right? Now we're gonna see if somebody was paying attention when I taught them. So how would I approach the lineup?
You gonna come in like, all right, homeboy. What you said? Start in the back. But how? What you gonna line up here? You said
It's ball. That's why I said the lineup.
okay. So I
give
do
you a
know.
hint first, and
You're gonna find. You're gonna get with him. Find the center.
You gonna how you gonna do that?
Turn him into the mirror.
Great.
All right, I got you. You're looking good. Looking good. All right. So right here from you're gonna find the center, which is gonna be right here. Boom, and then you're gonna ask them, do you keep your widow speaker, cut it off?
Don't ask me.
Do you keep your widow speaker, cut it off?
Cut it off.
Okay, so then it's gonna be, you gotta find 3 points, it's gonna be right there, boom. Then you're gonna look from the corner of the eyebrow, boom, and the corner of that one. Then you're gonna make your 3 dots, 1, 2, and 3. Then you're gonna make a line to this one, and a line to this one. And you gotta see where the hairline is to make sure that you don't, push it back on its corners.
I'm back. Alright, so
Took 2 classes.
I got that.
basically what you wanna do is you wanna, I call it connecting the dots, right? So you wanna find the center. You wanna get the view from what the client's gonna see when they actually look in the mirror. That's how you determine if it's gonna be straight, right? So the way you use this tool is you, like you did, you stand behind them. I've been doing this a minute, I don't wanna stand behind them right now. But you basically create your 3 points. The way to get an effective or efficient line with your trimmers is like you don't want to push towards the head. You want to take it, set it where you want to come off, and then pull it, right? You want to pull off of it. So if y'all can come on this side for a second. What she was referencing when she said the corner of the eyebrows, like everything about fading and haircuts is basically an illusion, right? So you want his hairline to appear to be boxed, right? So if I go in and I take this line and I'm not looking at it from the front and I do this, when he looks at it from the front, it's gonna look what?
Like a circle.
Yeah, it's gonna look not natural, right? So you want to line everything up with the corner of the eyebrow. So you want this line to come literally diagonally. So when you look at it from the front, it appears straight, right? So,
I see.
just learned you something, huh? I think I forgot to mention symmetry. So whatever you do to one side, you want to do to the other, right? So if he was to keep his sideburns and it was still hair here, I would have went in and I would have did my curve first, right? So when you're dealing with men, the hair around the sideburns and the sideline.
How you do the curve with
He
the
do it
straight
with-
line?
All right.
The
He do
tip.
the, yeah.
Yeah.
He
So-
do it like this. He do right
Right.
across.
So
He
if
really-
you want a straight line, right, you want to use your tools to their advantage. So this blade is straight. It's manufactured to be straight. So if you want a straight line, you use the whole blade. If you want to be creative, you use the corners and you use it as if it's like a drawing utensil, right? So if he had hair here, can you see? So if he had hair here, you would rest his finger kind of like on his cheek, and you would take the corner and you literally just draw that curve.
Okay. I see.
Right? And that's how you would get the corner. And it's the same thing on the other side. You just go upward. Right? Or if you're ambidextrous, you take your left hand and you do the same thing.
Yeah, we figured out.
Alright, so now we got our 3 points, right? So now all we have to do is draw a straight line from this point to this point.
Straight. What if it is shaped like a watermelon?
And like I said, it's an illusion. You want to look in the mirror and determine what you have to do to make that line appear straight. Because like I told her, nothing is really straight. So you can look at this side and it looks straight, right? It's definitely a slight curve to it, right? But it looks straight. And that's why we use the point system. Alright. So the best way to get practice on like getting lineups is old people and little kids. Cause the old people, you gotta make them think they got hair, and little kids, you gotta preserve hair. So just remember,
Stay still.
that's the
Not stay still.
good one.
My son takes like 2 hours for a haircut. But you don't stay still.
I got this. He just sit there.
I like mine stay still. I am still.
Maybe just making the muscle move. Stop chewing. So the hairline be pushed back.
I am still, Mom.
No, I'm just like.
You look at that, he's like, you're so beautiful, Mom. Like, you know, as long as you like it, baby. Yeah, you got hair to go over it, so if I mess with it, so it will bring it over that much.
Alright, so in the barber book, when you get to beards and facial hair, like they teach you shapes and teach you designs, right? So if somebody has a oval shaped face, like you want to create lines that accentuate the shape of their face. Like you don't want to put all these hard square lines on their beard and their faces around. Alright? And when it comes to facial hair, it's basically your creativity. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just whatever you feel like looks good, right? Most men are gonna trust women to do their beard. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Cause they feel like we like them, so you're gonna feel like you're gonna take it off. Another man might be jealous. They feel like women like me.
You just like it, I'm gonna take it out.
I'll be the one. Itching me all night.
Kiss me, little guy.
Want me to edge you?
Strangle him. It's so irritating for the teacher that
Oh, my brother got a beard. Like an old truck driving white man beard.
like an old sweater.
That'd be bad, dude.
Take care of that fine. An old sweater. His face look like an old sweater. I'm kissing.
On the Bill Cosby sweater. He trying not to smile like waiting in my beard. Y'all, hold on.
Oh, that, yeah, that.
Haircut running back.
See, all my heart when I was there. Every hard about that was until then we left.
What's been a haircut? I need to look it up.
Do men wax their face? Do men wax their face?
Do they what?
They wax their face. Do men wax their face? Why y'all
It'd be on
wax?
YouTube.
How do you look better?
No,
Gonna hurt.
that's why we use straight razors to get the same.
Y'all still have shadows. Yeah, we should try wax. Okay. What it is?
That's a little hand. My brother said that he bald, so he was living on his hands.
It's all for you and I.
Yeah, so he take off some of the some make it itchy. My daddy got one too. And he hold his face like
I don't recommend this, but because it's
Hair
your
on your
brother,
cheeks, bro.
come feel this side. I hope her hands can feel this side first. Feel this side first.
Then she looked at
You feel the
it.
difference?
Yeah, I think.
My bad. Sorry.
My daddy be like this. He older. He done got one.
Like, hey, you, did you
My
fly?
dad lean over and sing and put it like this. And then he leave it and my mama get mad.
Why you gonna leave it? That's sad.
Nasty. Lazy. Then he always say, I was going back, I forgot.
You gonna let your mom too. Lazy.
She done did it too long. Now he's spoiled.
It's too many
They do look
tools.
shiny.
Well, at least it's not.
That's a lot of tools, man.
You want to get to a point where you invest in what it is you're doing, right? So it's an initial investment on the front end, but it saves you time and money over time. So the only difference between what I have and what you have is it's probably gonna take you twice as long to do what I did with the tools that you have.
We only got two guys.
That's what I'm saying.
We got trimmers and clippers. With some dogs.
That's all you need, honestly. If you were to upgrade from what you got, get you a pair of seniors. It don't have to be cordless, but any pair of wall seniors because you already got wall guards, and then just get the Andes T outliner. It's like little gray clippers that you've seen every barber in America use. So with those two things, you can get.
Where
this.
that coat came from?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Yes.
They haven't been long.
Is it anybody in here interested in learning how to do the enhancements? I don't
What
use
you
them.
mean enhance? What it
Where's
is?
that hands?
The designs?
No, we have no. I don't care about that. No, the enhancements. You seen the people on Instagram with the really, really dark hairline? Like those are called enhancements.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanna learn.
Oh, when you like paint it.
It's not.
That little powder type stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all wanna do that? Or no?
TJ called it forever young.
Right.
Oh yeah, with that little, but that man hold a piece of cardboard right there. He like,
They be doing too much sometimes. They be going overboard.
That is not cute.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you
It's
a
not
very.
cute.
So your car is not cute.
but I think sometimes people get
Some people get
happy
hair
handed,
oil.
yeah, just like you
So,
do with scissors.
these are hair fibers, right? So it's not the typical spray paint that you use. So if I was using an airbrush or
It's paint.
And the size of the thing, but
it's permanent hair color. Or it's semi-permanent hair dye, and they're just using an airbrush to apply it. That's why it lasts longer because it's literally staining the skin. So if you think about when you went and took hair color, what it does when you get it on the skin. That's basically what they're using, so it'll last a little bit longer.
Now what you got right now?
These are hair fibers. So it's closer
They
to.
sell that little
Little
shake
pieces of
thing
hair.
where you can just like shake it up.
Yeah, you can do that. too.
Okay.
But you want to do it in moderation. But what I was saying is, if I was using the airbrush, I would use the little straight edge or the cardboard, so I don't get paint on areas I don't need.
Uh huh.
So
But with
only
this-
stick to hair. There you
Yes.
go. Makes
So
sense.
these are fibers, and it's more easily to remove it. So I can go over it with the trimmers, and it'll come right back up. All right. So this is basically a holding
Holding
spray.
spray.
It's a mild version of spritz.
Just how
Just being
I was
honest.
gonna evict it, but I can't. Hurry up.
So what most people go wrong when they get to this step
Like a better one.
is, like you said, they use too much, like way too much, right?
Little unnatural.
Yeah. So the way I do mine, I spray it. on
Wipe it with the
actual-
alcohol. I want to see him do this.
No, that's not alcohol.
I want you to.
No.
So you can do this.
He's not going. That's unsanitary. First of all.
Mean girl.
Why people do that?
But that problem, I don't have a
I'm
problem with that
gonna do
because none of my stuff is zero gap. So
Yeah, don't cut
if you
it.
feel like you've been cut up at any point with this haircut, like everything's
Say
pretty
yes.
good, right?
Say yes. Because he's trying to brag.
Exactly.
Say yes.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm
Like,
just kidding. 'Cause my
anyways,
boy didn't
you
even-
wanna get the right angle and you don't want to be too close. That's how you get too dark, right?
Let me back up, but get on me. Oh wait, I
No,
can't.
it's not
You
good.
got beard, so we get
Yeah,
it.
I'm kidding. Give me some thick eyebrows.
Make sure you get to the other side, cause baby, whatever. My hair's too big. Like everybody. Period.
Look at him shooting it. Pew, pew,
You need some of that
How
pink
long
on
is
your hair.
so nice.
Need some
Oh, I can see it coming
for my
out.
daddy.
I mean, you gotta be
We
looking.
need some for
My daddy got over blonde too.
You know.
You stressed him out. You should.
My dad,
So you go sleep on your pillow. It's gonna be on your pillow.
You probably sweat it out.
That's a waste. Waste of fiber.
I only do it when I know I'm gonna take pictures. Is it some holding spray around? somewhere?
It would be like a waste to use permit.
No, the actual
My dad's completely
holding
doing
spray.
it.
I don't think we had that.
Oh, you want me to go look?
Yeah, you're looking at the camera.
He had a full cop look. Just a mustache, completely bald. Yeah.
It's the Papa John's.
Is it the curves at the end, like the Pringles man?
Dude, you still got me dead over that beard. It's like an old sweater.
You look like you really
Let
need
us
to
say,
get
old
some.
sweater on your face.
What is
I
that?
don't
Bill
think my
Cosby
baby.
sweater.
I was ready to go.
I forgot my clippers, so I'm probably not.
Oh Lord.
Okay.
I won't. I got mine.
Oh, we can wait till they done? No, because it's time to go.
Who need clippers? I
Can I
got
borrow
it.
your clippers? I do.
2 people.
I do.
I'll get
And I do.
the loaner set.
I do.
You have a loaner set?
She already got it.
She just said that.
We thought you were gonna need these. Oh,
I
no.
can't use them right now.
Why can't you do
I
that?
can't use that. Can't use the masters.
Not today.
I want to cut hair like Mr. Rogers. They said it's pretty. She sound like that gold one. It's pretty.
Like
That's the only reason why we
girly.
buy stuff. Isn't it cute though? They're really that cute.
I can't use them, but they're cute.
And then
And y'all think
like the boxes. That's what it's doing.
as much as the world can, I mean, I have something like curly color. You know, the world is all. I'm talking about being.
I knew it. I was so quick with that shit. The rose gold and back there. You know, I ain't buying it. But some guys,
Ooh, the fiber put that whoosh. Put that glee up there in that boy head. Okay. Alright. Brought it back. Well, you might want to talk about the stone your way home.
What up, baby girl?
As soon as they get a haircut, they gotta go everywhere.
Like, go sit down somewhere.
My boyfriend get haircuts at nighttime.
Got my hair
Come home. I don't want nobody to be in the see it.
Mine is bald.
So he get all the time. Watch him every day.
She just get his haircut at 7:30 and come on back home. Don't need nobody to see you. Put your
Go
hat
to
on
Walmart.
and walk out.
To the coffee
Walmart get a fresh cuts for me.
You don't know what.
I see it now. You see it.
haircut ain't nothing without cologne.
Alright, just lay your head back.
Lay your head.
Alright, I'm gonna give y'all a crash course on like using the straight razor. Because for whatever reason I feel like half of y'all gonna come back for the crossover program. But the main thing is you wanna make sure you have a firm grip of it, right? And when you're using it, you don't want it to be flush. You want it to be at like a 45-degree angle. And you always wanna make sure you stretch the skin.
Scratchy.
Don't hit up them eyebrows. My uncle was a barber. He could do it.
I need my
He could do your
basketball.
eyebrows and
Eyebrows.
everything. It's so good.
Leave him alone. Don't you touch him.
Typically when you use any kind of blade or straight razor, you wanna use either shaved cream or shaved gel.
What you use?
I ain't got the contact right now.
Oh,
So nothing.
I see.
So just dry. You ain't going there.
It's not dry. I put this spritz on here.
It is insane. We want to wash our fibers off.
Right.
I see. Let me go home and hook my little boy. One of them came my cute bell bar. Put your head back.
They brought some of them files.
I'm finna use that
Put it in a
straight
straight
razor.
bag and just start throwing.
Boom.
Like Celia did. They ain't old enough. They young and they don't even know who that's from.
Y'all see the color?
See
Young,
what I
they young,
told you?
young.
Alright, bro. Alright, anybody got any questions about that? No?
That boy is
Fresh.
good.
Fresh as on mold.
Gotta go to the gas station. Got to.
You gotta grab them.